The piece is inspired by the myth of Sisyphus, and particularly the writing of Albert Camus on the myth of Sisyphus. And he writes at the end of his passage that we should imagine Sisyphus as happy. And I found that to be really interesting because, you know, the story seems to be a very frustrating one. And, you know, anybody thinking of carrying a boulder for eternity up and down a hill might cringe. And Camus is suggesting that, you know, we should think that this man is happy. And so I thought that there was an interesting conflict of opinions there, or like situation, and decided that that was a mystery that I was interested in looking at. And I feel like what we've understood from it is that the boulder is very similar to, like you could call it the gift of life. Anybody might not feel like they're doing something futile and purposeless, but if you were an alien and you were looking down on the earth, they might see like us just moving things around every day and going back to bed and coming back to work and moving things around. And there is a certain absurdity about, you know, being alive. And what I found through this story is that I think there's something deeply human in Sisyphus, that he chooses, I think he's choosing life every day. And there's an act of the individual as a hero in that moment, to choose life, even in moments where it feels absurd or meaningless. And so I do understand how Sisyphus can become happy, because he changes. He changes with the boulder. He chooses it every day. Otherwise, I think he would have been crushed and decided not to continue. But he chooses to pick it up and continue bringing it up. So that's where the pieces sort of spawn from. We're using chairs in the piece, and you know, there's this like kind of like a funny feeling about using chairs in dance, because it seems to be like a prop that has come upon us on many pieces, and I think partially that has to do with many facts that I think artists generally use what's in the room, you know, and I've been sitting on a chair watching these guys dance for the last 5 years, and it's just started kind of working its way into the piece, and it's become sort of like the boulder of Sisyphus, this sort of object that he has to deal with, a burden or a weight, or maybe something that, you know, he invests his feeling of meaning or, I don't know, creativity into. So we're using the chairs, and what we're going to be doing is developing a way to kind of mirror the chairs with the dancers' bodies, so that it doesn't feel like, okay, you're a chair, I'm a person, but that there's maybe something a little bit more linked between the two, that they both have a form and function, and they both can inspire, and they both have their own problems and challenges. So we're kind of developing a way for audiences to start feeling like maybe there's something linked between the two. every time we decide that we're going to make a new work, I put together in my mind a certain amount of challenges that I am really interested in experiencing. Things that we didn't get to try in the previous work, and also certain ideas that we found that we didn't necessarily get to develop so much. And so in this piece, we have been doing a lot of improvisation games, which isn't something I've always used improvisation to create material, like to find language and develop maybe what you might call a dance phrase or movement vocabulary. But we've been using the improvisation to actually set full, like the score of the piece, and to just throw, like almost like throwing ingredients or chemicals into a pot, and watching the reactions that happen naturally amongst them. So this kind of improvisation is very new for us, and it's bringing us together in new ways.
It's a rainy day. That's great.
I think kind of the evolution that's happened is that I might do in the past like a movement like that, and I might say like I wanted you to try and catch something that someone was whispering to you between your knuckles. And so you imagine someone whispering and you want to catch the words. And then we would have this form, and then I would add like another form that had images or ideas to it. And now the dancers are making their own movement choices. And what I'm doing is giving them a problem to solve. And it's not necessarily, I'm not really focusing so much on the steps that they're doing and more on the psychological interactions and the pitch in the room and the tension that they bring as they deal with the problems that I'm throwing at them. Phyllis Lama, yeah. So Phyllis is, it almost makes me like want to cry because it's such a vulnerable place to be when you're making something, and to have somebody really there encouraging you, it's really changed the weight on my shoulders. Phyllis has been really a dream come true for me. I've been sitting kind of alone on this side of the room. I call it this side of the room. The dancers are on that side of the room, and I'm on this side. And I've sort of been alone with my chair on this side of the room for the last 5 years. And the dancers are very interactive with me. Like, we make the work together, but essentially they're in it and I'm not. And she has come in such a wonderful way, has been able to read what we are doing and give us insight on not like, well, you know, what we could do better or why this isn't working, but more on like just understanding ourselves and understanding where maybe we need to not keep pushing because we got it, like you got it, so don't keep stressing about that, move on, work. Yeah, and she's just sort of directing us and me, and I feel like in some way I feel like she's protecting me in a way that I never had before. She's protecting my confidence and she's protecting my belief in what we're doing. I found that this story has been like a beautiful key into how I can observe daily life and daily interactions, and those are sort of interactions that I'm interested in bringing into the dance space, into the theater. We just came off of doing a piece that was an anti-war piece, and it was very, the subject was very heavy and it had a lot of meaning for me, And in this new piece, I wanted to kind of look at things that were a little bit more natural, in conversation with my life, my personal life, and the lives of the dancers. And the myth of Sisyphus has been a way for us to be able to observe, like a lens through which we can observe situations and try to find meaning from them.